here we have Queen's Hope and Honey. Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. I have another book review for you today. Surprise, surprise. So we have Queen's Hope from the Star Wars series, and this is a series with 3 books in it. I've done the other 2 reviews already, so you can go ahead and look back on those if you would like to learn more about this series. This is technically the last book in the series, and I feel like it was a really good wrap up to the series. I really enjoyed the series, and I'm honestly kind of sad that it's over, but this author, E.K. Johnston, actually has written a lot of other Star Wars books as well, so I'm excited to check those out in the future. I will be starting on her next series that she wrote. I think it's called The Phantom Menace. I think that is the first one in the next series, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check, to be honest with you. This author writes books, and like they technically are series, but you kind of have to check like when the books were published to figure out like in what order to read them, because it's not really all that clear on Goodreads or on Google. So I kind of had a hard time like figuring out how exactly in which order to read her books. But I do really love this author. She's really true to the story. She's really true to Star Wars. And everything she writes really goes hand in hand with the movies and with what George Lucas has produced. So I really appreciated that and liked that. In this book, we are kind of coming into Padmé's life when she's about to get married to Anakin. Secretly, nobody knows. And she is a senator now, and she's doing a lot of really great work in the Senate and beyond in different other planets. I was gonna say galaxies, but in other planets in the galaxy. So she's kind of working with her handmaidens, and they're doing like other extra work for her, and they're working alongside her in a way, but like kind of in secret, but they're like going towards what Padmé's like original mission was, which it was really interesting because Anakin's mom was a slave on Tatooine, and so was Anakin, and he ended up getting freed by Qui-Gon Jinn and came back with him, and Padmé was also there at the time that he got freed and met his mom and everything. And ever since then, she made it like her personal mission in life to free the slaves on Tatooine, in specifically on Tatooine, but also obviously on other planets as well. She did not like slavery at all. After she saw that, it really like kind of struck a chord with her, and that was like her life mission. And unfortunately, she got so tied up being senator and being queen and carrying out her duties that she wasn't personally able to go ahead and free the slaves or even work on that mission at all. So her handmaiden got involved along with one of her security team members, and they were trying to help free slaves on Tatooine, which was really cool. And she was kind of like referring to Padmé for advice and help and that type of thing. But it kind of seems like if Padmé hadn't been like so tied up in other things like the Senate and her other duties, like she maybe might have been able to go and free Anakin's mom, and that might have stopped Anakin from turning to the dark side, possibly. I don't know. It just seems like if Padmé wasn't so darn busy and she was just like more involved in her personal dreams and goals in life and also in Anakin's life, I feel like things would have gone a lot differently for him as a person. And not like that should have been on Padmé's shoulders, but it's just like really interesting to see that all kind of come together, which we really saw that in this book. There's so many other things that happen in this book that I just don't want to give away, but that's kind of just like a synopsis of this book. They really put a lot of Anakin and Padmé's like a story after they got married into this book, which we do not see really at all in Star Wars. We see like little bits and pieces, but it's nothing like really behind the scenes too much. There's like maybe one scene in the whole movie. So this, you got like really behind the scenes, and you really truly saw like each of their lives and how busy they were and how little time they had for each other and for their own personal lives, because they were dedicating themselves to a bigger cause, which was really cool, but at the same time, it really took away from their relationship. And I think a lot of things could have gone really differently had they had more time with each other and in their own personal lives as well. So that was really cool to see all that and see it all come together. Also, R2-D2 is technically owned by Padme, which is technically owned by Naboo. He was a droid owned by Naboo first, and he started working for Padme when she was queen. So I thought that was really cool to discover that. And then obviously C-3PO was made by Anakin, and whenever he found out his mom died, he went back and he got C-3PO and he brought him with him, and he worked on finishing him. And so now him and Padme have come together and are like living together. So those are their droids, and it was cool because they didn't really have a way to communicate when Anakin went off on Jedi missions and Padme was in the Senate. They were keeping the relationship very secretive, so it wasn't like they could just send each other like normal messages. So Anakin took R2-D2 with him because he was flying, and so it kind of made sense for him to have R2 and for Padme to have C-3PO as like working as her protocol droid. And so it was cool because they could send messages through the two droids like back and forth to each other without anyone else knowing about them. So that's kind of how they communicated when they were off on their own missions, which I thought was really cool to find that out, because we didn't see that in the movie either. So you really get a really good behind the scenes look at so many things in Padme, Anakin, and the Jedi's lives, because there's a lot of other Jedis that are talked about in this book as well that we kind of see behind the scenes. Also, we see a lot of behind the scenes of Darth Sidious, who is also Palpatine, and it kind of switches back and forth from like Palpatine to Darth Sidious, which I thought was kind of cool. It kind of like treated them as two different people, which technically they kind of are. And he had to work really hard to like keep them completely separate and not like reveal himself to anybody. And we saw a lot of that in this book, which I thought was super cool, and it just gave it like an extra little twist. So anyway, definitely a raving 5 stars for this one. I think this is totally my favorite one of the series. That's not to say that the rest of the series wasn't amazingly good, because it was, but go check this series out ASAP. Also, let me just bring attention to this beautiful cover of Natalie Portman as Padme, because she's beautiful. Padme has these like natural curls, and that's talked about a lot in this book, so I think that's why they did this as the cover. And then on the back, it has her in this very pretty dress that she wears by the lake in Naboo. So I really loved this cover, and I love the book itself, because when you open it, it just feels so girly and cute because it's pink, and it made me feel cute reading it. But that's all I have to say about that one. And that's pretty much it. I post on my Instagram every day, and I would love to see you over there. And I also post a weekly video here every single Friday, and I would love to see you back here every Friday to watch my weekly video. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and leave me a comment below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know which books I should read next, or any other video ideas you may have for me. And that's all I have for you today, and I will see you next time. Bye!